Good evening, viewers. Welcome aboard Face Off. Peter Kivazo, your host, with me, part of the show. I don't have David Pukol in the studio. I have Charles Romshana and I have Richard Baguma. Welcome, Charles, and good evening.
The Almighty God is great.
And I have Richard. Yes, Richard, welcome and good evening.
Good evening to you, post-cabinet.
For some reason, Richard Baguma has 2 coffee mugs in front of him. That's what I saw on the set.
I tell you, the misinformation has started straight away.
And it was an interesting week. It started out on Monday with my friend, the Lord Mayor of Kampala, swearing in. One of the very few functions that I actually gave myself time to attend. I went to attend and I saw the collateral of all Kampala MPs there, except Nabira Nagai Sempala. For some reason, Nabira was conspicuously absent, but all the rest were there. And I'll say it was very short on color. I thought it would have been a lot more colorful. It was very short on color. I think they were better on working within certain timelines, though they started very late. On that very day, when I was thinking, and Baguma here will understand, my mind is always a news mind. When I sit in, I'm looking at what will make the news.
I call them cyber dancers, the one who declare people dead on the cyber.
Yes. Is it going to be Segirinya swearing in? Is it going to be a certain councillor that can't say solemnly? Or is it actually the misspelling that I saw on the swearing in document? I've had so many people say the word solemn and say it wrong. But this time round, and Asuman Basaliru and I noted, the person that wrote the what do you call the oath? Yes, as they were about to aver, I realized that actually the word solemn had been written solemn.
So that they can read it correctly.
Really? Really? And this person had invited...
There was a dress called Solemn.
And this person had invited us for a function of 9 a.m. and they had put 9 p.m.
Yeah, that is a common mistake. But I had thought that, like it was done for Parliament, it would be taken out.
I don't know.
The word sorry, I thought it would just go out.
I mean, I don't understand why they are really, really dying for the word. But that was Monday. And by end of day Monday, if you were an editor, you had an editor's nightmare. You've got a story that you've practically laid on the table and put together your front page and said, here I go. And then at about 6:30 or 6 o'clock, someone lands a bomb of the cabinet on you. And the story you had laid for page 1 possibly is relegated to page 3, or a snippet of it will appear on the front page. And indeed it was. For me, at a news level, it was an editor's nightmare. And I was thinking, damn, what do you do? Couldn't one of the stories wait until tomorrow so that I have 2 stories? Is it deliberate that one is released to wash down the other? But those things happened. The third story that happens in the week, of course, is the budget reading. Of course, after the nomination, I don't know, we'll talk about the cabinet, but I don't know whether there was a lot of surprise, a bit of excitement here and there, but I waited. For me, the real excitement was what is going to happen with the budget reading. I have checked, and one, we no longer have the old finance bill as it used to be presented. The amendment of the Public Finance, is it called Public Finance Act, amended the notion of the budget as it was known during the Obote II, as it was known up to last year, where we presented the budget, the finance bill. Members of Parliament had it and debated it and adopted it. That does not exist. As we speak now, the budget was debated and adopted through Parliament. So what the President does through the Finance Minister is really to tell the country, this is what was adopted. He can even not read anything and life will go on. It was only a ritual. But the ritual that they retained requires that it is presented by a finance minister, who, of course, is the president or a delegate of the president, as it were. That happened as well.
But there is no finance minister.
Yes, we'll get in there. But well, viewers, that's where we were at, and I'll start straight at Charles Rumshana. I remember seated in here with the Omlodi, I think the other studio, many, many months ago. And Charles Rumshana was in his usual jocular way telling him, forget about that office unless you put on yellow socks and yellow underwear and God knows a yellow tie as well. He's back there. He's still the old Lukwago. I had him speak and the ground reverberate on Monday.
So you now want me to tell you the truth about the deal they made or what? How they capitulated? You see, the requirement of Mr. Museveni to Mr. Elias Lukwago to be allowed to swear in as road mayor initially was an apology. And I think that was at when he was officiating at the official opening of the market at Wandege.
I recall.
Very good. Mr. Lukwago, in the previous term and this term, his problem was never the law. His problem was politics, and I think it's because he was identified with Mr. Chiza Besigye. Now, in this one, if Mr. Lukwago was not delinking himself from Mr. Chiza Besigye's defiance campaign, he was not even now, was not going to swear in. The other time they failed to note it in time, he was sworn in, and they fought to get out a lawful, to broke a lawful or throw out a lawful Lord Mayor. This time round, they were supposed to block him from swearing in. And I think that's why the conversation was made. But as we discussed earlier, because I think we discussed it, we discussed the general trend that was going on around these areas that overwhelmingly rejected Mr. Museveni and the NRM, that is Kampala and its surroundings, that the approach was going to be a soft approach, was going to be a conversation. And you have now had, you have had the members of parliament who are who are supposed to be in the opposition, who are with Chiza Besigye, who are supposed to be the pillars of the defiance campaign, mobilize the population to the hill, to revolt, to have an uprising, now go in to swear, and are indeed comfortable in their seat, save for Mr. Kabaziguruka, who is, as we speak right now, under house arrest over.
Is he under house arrest or is he in Chireka? Has he been taken back home?
He has been given bond and now he's under house arrest. That's according to the media, because I haven't talked to him. Now you do no longer have Frank Tumwebaze in the Kampala City Authority. You now have a Betty, the Honorable Betty Kamia, and I think he's toppled like a dove. Peace. A symbol of peace. It's supposed to be harmony. Now you see a smile on the face of the executive director. You also see a smile on the face of Lukwago. You can't believe that the last 5 years there was that such a serious animosity. So it's changing the strategy, but I think it's after a conversation, it's after a deal whose contents, I don't have the whole content of that deal, but I think it's somewhat privileged. I wouldn't go into it beyond that. We're looking at cabinet.
Give me your gut about Kampala. Kampala comes interestingly. The following things happen.
But remember, the councillors were taken to Mr. Museveni before even they were sworn in. The Kampala State Council councillors.
Possibly not all of them. Quite a number of them.
Most of them, yes.
Not the authority councillors, the other division councillors. The authority councillors, part of the interesting thing about the political traders in Kampala is that they actually took to President Museveni almost 70% of the councillors that had been evicted. One of them is my friend. They took him to the president, and they were indeed councillors at the time because they hadn't been taken out. The new council hadn't been sworn in. But of the new council, the numbers that were taken were very few. At least I was told that from the authority, 70% of the councillors that were taken at the authority at the center were actually councillors that had been defeated.
I'm at pains to get the...
Well, that's the pain of the politics of this country.
You know,
that
the
someone
most
wants to
important-
meet the new MPs, and you're bringing to him MPs that are sitting and have
No,
been
the most
defeated.
important point is that the president made an attempt to talk to the councillors,
Yes.
including the NRMs that lost, the NRM councillors that lost.
What is the benefit of talking to councillors that
It's
have
politics. It's politics. They have people. They are NRM. They have people. You are talking to the new ones. You have even invited those in the opposition. But that was not the center of gravity of my argument. The center of the gravity of my argument was how they were mobilized. They were not mobilized by the mainstream political management of state council authority, i.e. through Frank Tumwebaze and the infrastructure of Frank Tumwebaze. It was done by a police, that is Mr. Kare Keihura, you saw that.
lost? And Chitata.
That's the infrastructure. Actually, the other informal infrastructure of Mr. Kare Keihura and police, and behind the scenes you have Mr. Kere Bakandwa now. So that was it. And that's what has continued. You now have Betty Kamya and several others who have come in with...
Richard, I'm listening to Charles, and I know that Charles is at pains. There are those moments in life when you have information that you want to allow out, and you feel you possibly have done a deal that you wouldn't allow it. You know, as we talk about deal merchandising, we also are merchants.
Of course, you have to be careful about people's friendship.
Yes.
Because if the one who brought the information is a friend of the other, and I still want to...
That's okay. But Richard, more orthodox things that are visible to the every eye. One, you have a minister now of Kampala, fully fledged. Previously, we had my friend Frank Tumwebaze. And Frank, I put an alibi on that friendship, because these days it is one of those only and only if we meet, and you know it is very hard to meet.
He's a politician.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please
But
don't spend much time on those friendships.
one, you have a minister who is not a minister of presidency. And the KCCA still is vested in the president's office, because it is transferred to the central government and directly supervised by the presidency, blah, blah, blah. So you have a minister. In addition to the minister, you have a state minister for Kampala. By being a full ministry, therefore, you expect a permanent secretary, or they shall report to the permanent secretary in the presidency. Then in between there in the mix, you will have an RCC. She shall also supervise and monitor this work. Then you have the two at the City Hall. You have Jennifer and the technical team. You have Arias and the political team. And then 1 foot away, you have the 5 divisions of Kampala. I want to fit in this mix. One, if you're a minister of Kampala, the 5 divisions of Kampala, what do you do?
Actually, is Minister of Kampala City Authority.
Which is Kampala. What do you do for 5 days of the week as a minister? And you have a state minister, and you have an infrastructure. You shook your head when I said possibly a permanent secretary. What is this that you do that the RCC does not do, that Jennifer wouldn't do and Lukwago?
There is a region called Bunyoro. It has a minister
Of state.
Not a full minister. Oh, well, Karamoja has a full minister.
I was going to come to Karamoja. I was going to go to Luwero. I was going to go.
Even Teso?
Yeah.
And it also has a king. And it has divisions, really, if you look at the districts. Because what is the budget of KCCA vis-a-vis the budget of Bunyoro?
KCCA, at the last check, they were operating around 80 billion.
Yeah.
I'll check the document I have in my hands.
Yeah, that's the subvention from central government. What are the other direct,
At least it
Corrections.
can buy a market of 40 billion.
what are the other injections from the Belgian technical, from the World Bank, from the... So that's one. The office of the Prime Minister has how many regional ministers, but technically departments, and therefore with one permanent secretary. So there's nothing really new in this that has happened. But the second thing is, why do you appoint a minister? Because, like I have said before, on this and other shows, we have interest in trying to suppose, presuppose, imagine, think through, assess why ministers are appointed and what they ought to do. But the one also who appoints has the benchmarks. They do. And oftentimes we ignore those benchmarks. We act as if they don't exist. So we create our world and we try to operate in that world. But also there is the other real world of politics, the real politic. And sometimes that's why cabinet positions or other positions actually get created. The Lord Mayor is there, sworn in. And
Actually, today he had a meeting with the executive director and a few of the technical team and the councillors. I found a few of these things interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to.
How they turn around so suddenly. How
I don't
they
see
are
any
being
turnaround.
So courteous to each other. Or is this where we began actually?
I
the
don't see.
previous
I don't
one?
see any turnaround. The Lord Mayor and the other politicians keep playing politics, and that's what they're doing. I do not believe that they ever were enemies. I do not believe that they are friends. No.
And they don't have to be friends to work within the same environment.
And they don't even have to be enemies not to work. No, it's the same. It's converse. It's the same. I was looking at photographs of these people in Nachivubu. Yeah, the camaraderie. and the entire journalism fraternity ran to capture this. And that's what is fed to the world. And that's what the world takes. Because that's at the level at which we operate. Let's talk about deal doing in politics, in religion, in business, and in social relationships. There is deal doing as part of relating. That's a relational thing. Doesn't matter what sector you are. So I would be shocked if there were no deals done. That for me would be the shocking part.
Trade-ins and trade-offs.
And yes, and absolutely. And you see, I am glad that you see Mr. Wumshana is enjoying the privilege of having to struggle with privileged information.
That is today.
Really.
If I could have that picture again where it starts. No. Okay, that is the previous one. I would like today's. Kasozi, give me the one of today.
Yeah, Mr. Maguma Richard.
Because you see, we struggle with information.
Richard,
Oh, yeah.
that is today now. The camaraderie wasn't only in Nachivubu. This is now in the office of the
This is City Hall.
Road. Yes.
Okay.
Carry on.
Mr. Maguma Richard, if you can allow me a second,
Yes, of course.
it's like it has rained on me, you know. if you
I love these moments when Rumshana
No,
Struggles. When he struggles.
if you want to know the proper size of a cock, is when it has rained on it. the election was rigged, and rigged massively. The promise was there was going to be defiance. The commanders of defiance have surrendered in a manner that is unprecedented in history. And within no minute, it smiles. It smiles, but at what cost? Is it possible that we could have fought an extra minute? Is it possible? When you still have repression going on and some others are on trial, others can't even be brought to court. There is even an attempt to ban others, and all of a sudden, commanders are nowhere. It's interesting. It's history. It's history.
I can feel your pain, Charles. I can feel your pain. And this pain can be shared in several things. Because sometimes you expect that the situation will go your way. Then you say we could have fought on.
No, I'm conceding you defeated me.
No.
Because you are the designer.
We are about to get the details.
I mean, really?
You are the designer.
We are about to get into the details.
I mean, if there are any designers
I'm not
out
saying you are
there,
the
they would be very unhappy.
I'm not saying you are the leaker. Oh, this, but you are the designer.
No, I think if there are designers out there, they would
So
be
it
very
has been
unhappy.
Okay, I need to understand
He's
the
confessing,
design.
he's confessing that they are designers and they are leaks.
Yeah.
But you see, why I'm
I
really...
know you people are too sharp.
you see, why this is...
You saw it going on.
You see why this is important? Is because politicians, especially politicians like Mr. Wumshan, plays politics throughout. He plays politics at home, politics in the studio, politics in the car, and I have really had opportunity.
And you are sure you've detached yourself from the politics completely?
No, I didn't.
Please carry on.
I didn't say I am not. I said politicians like Mr. Wumshan. And you see, I'll just give him as an example. But look at Mr. Chibazo. Mr. Chibazo plays politics on air, and he sits back and delivers his political point by whom he chooses to be on air, by the topic he chooses to be spoken about, by the way he asks the questions and delivers a certain point. So we are all political. And for me, Lord Mayor Kwago, as I have always told him, he has somewhere he's looking. And whenever he thinks the road, the journey to there is becoming rocky, he making seeming concessions. I don't get convinced. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they are friends or they are enemies. They have interests which they are pursuing. And when they think a context like in there deserves to be played like that, that's what they are playing. That he has gotten off his objective, I don't believe. If he has cut deals in order to achieve that objective, then he's an astute politician. And that's what he should be. The choice of Betty Kamya. I mean, really, so whom did he want to be chosen?
Richard Bagumu.
I mean, why? 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 Why?
For the information that I'm privileged to have that I can't share.
The politics of co-option. This is an old method of political behavior. It is not the first time it is even happening here. It has happened, since the British were here. So for me, it is not that there is anything fundamentally out of place or fundamentally strange. This is the usual political games that are happening now. They're happening again, and they're going to continue happening as long as we have this political method of managing society.
I get into a bit of the other choices that away from Kampala particularly. I'm hoping that Kampala works. I have a very uncomfortable situation in Kampala, especially if the three principals now get into a fight. Two of them are really by any measure my friends.
Chibazo,
and Betty
Chibazo, let me help you.
When I look
there
at
is only one principle. So please don't start expanding the number of principles.
where is the principle?
No, there's one principle. Which three?
Well, when we talk about Kampala, I assume that the
that's
three
your
of
assumption.
them
Okay.
are actually principals.
Okay.
The other one that is behind the chessboard or under the chessboard may be actually holding the chessboard up, and we are seeing the pawns on the chessboard. But that's Kampala. One of the other interesting things for me, still from Kampala, is Nachiwala, now Honorable Nachiwala Chiyingi. From the football fraternity, for me, She was also appointed this week the chairman of Express Football Club, the first lady to head that particular football club, and I'm hoping she will do well. I've seen her on the terraces. It must be a very good week for her. She must buy the best Calabari champagne. But natural change. Yesterday running as the DP candidate for Kampala. Stamped her foot. Of course, moved on the same track with Issa Chikungwe. And I'm hopeful that now that Nachiwara has gotten her goodies, possibly Issa will become an ambassador as well. But quick observations before I take a break. Your mind about Nachiwara. I've heard all the gossip around it. Some people have said that she was seconded by my Archbishop in Kampala. Others have said that OHT Charles Peter Maiga nodded in that direction, and HE said yes, she's the girl, or the reverse. HE went to them.
HE said he doesn't talk to the Prime Minister, he talks to...
Well, I know otherwise several times.
Yeah, but Nachiwara has been in different positions, ministerial positions, with some contestation, by the way, even when it was in the kingdom. If you remember, there was also some contestation. So she's not new to contestation. But it really doesn't stop her. I was listening to I didn't know she was the one, but I listened to talk on radio about a lady becoming the chief of Express. And there was a lot of contestation too. No, I didn't know she was the one. Now when he said, oh, so she's the one. But Nachiwara asked a question. She said, why would I refuse a ministerial appointment?
Okay. Would she refuse? Did she bargain for it?
I think...
Did you see her at Seren Suits?
No,
Were you there?
I think that for a couple of the cabinet positions, I suppose, there was lobbying.
That's why they don't say Red Bull.
Some you guys,
can
you please stop?
They don't say Red Bull.
So you've been...
Oh my God.
At least I can
Probably it was out of stock.
Two of the three here have been there.
They don't say Red Bull.
Oh my God.
At least viewers, without a doubt, Rumshan and Waguma have been there. Yes, carry on.
No, I concede. They are on a counter-attack.
But certainly, for a lot of the cabinet ministers, there was a lot of... there must have been a lot of lobbying and counter-lobbying, but also consultation. Because you see, appointing a cabinet, and you know, when I was in Makerere, in 92, Mr. Charles Rumshan appointed me, virtually I was the coordinator of the Cabinet Appointments Committee for President.
Our Vice President is now a judge.
Charles Rumshan, our Vice President is a judge. I had to sit with this gentleman, and we appointed the Vice President, whom we virtually did not know. But so you see, these ones would be forwarded. It must be an Istana, it must be a female, it must come from a female hall. So for me, this is not new. There must have been lobbying. But I also had President Mao, Norbert, speak.
Chairman Mao.
And he actually spoke about this lobbying and the religious institutions being involved. So he let
No, but who remained? Who has remained in DP?
Mao.
Who is pure DP?
Mao.
Mbide.
No, I don't know what is pure.
Pure Mbide. Mbide, you know the deal, how he goes into
Mwanga
East Africa.
Chivumbi is in DP. Medad
Yeah,
Sebona
but
is in
no, but
DP.
look.
Mwanga Chivumbi were on another program.
But look,
So,
President Yoweri Museveni wasn't he DP?
You remember the,
So,
the issues to do with markets, how the youth brigade of DP would mobilize. Kumbe, they were mobilizing to protest that the other guy is compensated. And the guy made the deal.
I don't know.
Hey.
so you see, this deal making, how can it be new, really? It is essentially his old approach.
I need to take a break and return. And Charles has no comment about Nachiwara Chinyinji because he's been to those places where they don't sell what? What don't they sell?
There is no Red Bull.
Oh, no.
So in the hotel they don't sell Red Bull. So why did you need Red Bull?
He needed his nerves.
And what did Baguma drink? What did Baguma
He
drink?
needed his nerves.
What I know. Baguma
We'll
is
take a break.
a designer.
You see, I will confess when we...